Being forced out of the company you built for 10 years by your own family is crushing. Watching them realize you were the only thing holding it together, that's justice. I'm Jennifer Morrison, 34 years old. 2 months ago, my father, my two brothers, and my uncle voted me out of Morrison Construction, the family business I'd run as CFO for a decade. The business I'd grown from $3 million to $22 million in revenue. They said I was too controlling, that I didn't understand the construction side, that they needed new financial leadership with fresh ideas. Translation, they wanted to spend money I wouldn't approve, make deals I'd blocked, run the company without someone saying no. They offered me 6 months severance and a non-disclosure agreement, told me to move on gracefully. I took the severance, didn't sign the NDA, and I made one phone call to the IRS whistleblower hotline. Because here's what my family didn't know. For 3 years, I'd been documenting their fraud, tax evasion, embezzlement, kickback schemes, millions in illegal activity. I'd tried to stop it internally. They ignored me, then they fired me for trying. Last week, the IRS showed up with a warrant. This week, the FBI followed. Yesterday, my father and brothers were arrested. The audit exposed everything. And the family business they stole from me, it's about to be dissolved. This is the story of how my family's greed destroyed them in 60 days. Before I tell you what the IRS found, before you hear what my father said when the handcuffs went on, smash like now. Subscribe for whistleblower justice stories. Drop your city. This is about documentation and patience. 10 years ago, I was 24. Fresh MBA from Wharton. My father owned Morrison Construction, small commercial contractor, $3 million in annual revenue, 12 employees. Struggling. Dad said, "Come work for me. Help me grow this. It'll be yours someday. Yours and your brother's." I joined as CFO. Immediately saw the problems. No real accounting system, no financial controls, no budgets. Money is going in and out with zero tracking. In the first year, I implemented proper accounting. QuickBooks, monthly reconciliations, financial statements, basic stuff they'd never done. Revenue stayed at $3 million, but profit doubled. From $200,000 to $400,000 just from proper management. Year 2, I secured our first major contract, $2 million office renovation. Managed it perfectly. Came in under budget. The client was thrilled. More contracts followed. I handled all bids, all budgets, all client relationships. Revenue hit $5 million. My brothers, Mark and David, worked construction, site management. Good at building, terrible at business. My Uncle Tom handled sales. Got us meetings, I closed the deals. Dad was semi-retired, played golf, came in occasionally, took credit for everything. By year 5, we were at $12 million in revenue. I'd hired a full accounting department, built real systems, professionalized everything. By year 8, we were at $18 million, one of the top contractors in the state. By year 10, this year, we hit $22 million, 75 employees, major contracts, established reputation. I built that. Not alone, but I was the engine, the one who made it profitable, sustainable, legal. Then, 3 years ago, things started changing. 3 years ago, I noticed irregularities. Small things at first. Invoices from vendors I didn't recognize. $5,000 here, $8,000 there. When I asked, my brother said, subcontractors. Dad approved it. I checked with Dad. He said, the boys handle field operations. Trust them. But something felt wrong. I started tracking these vendors. calling them, verifying work. Half of them didn't exist. Fake companies, shell corporations, money's going out, no work coming in. I confronted Mark. These vendors are fake. Where's the money going? He said, you don't understand construction. We pay cash for certain things. That's how it works. I said, cash payments need documentation, receipts, W-9s. This is fraud. He said, it's business. Dad knows. Uncle Tom knows. You're being paranoid. I went to Dad. We have fake vendors on the books. This is tax fraud. We need to stop it and report it. Dad said, Jenny, you're a great CFO, but you don't understand how construction works. Sometimes we need flexibility. Don't worry about it. I said, this is illegal. I can't sign off on fraudulent financials. He said, then don't sign. I'll sign. You're overreacting. That's when I started documenting everything. I created a shadow file, copied every suspicious invoice, every fake vendor payment, every cash withdrawal, every irregularity. I found more, lots more. Kickback schemes. We'd pay vendors inflated prices. They'd kick back 30% in cash. My brothers pocketed it. $500,000 over 3 years. Tax evasion. We'd underreport revenue, classify personal expenses as business expenses. My father's golf membership, my uncle's boat, my brother's private school tuition, all business expenses. Another $300,000 in tax fraud. Embezzlement. My brothers created fake employee names, drew salaries for people who didn't exist, pocketed the paychecks. $200,000 total. Over 3 years, I documented $2 million in fraud. All illegal, all prosecutable. I tried to stop it repeatedly. They overruled me, called me difficult, said I didn't get it. Then, 2 months ago, they made their move. 2 months ago, Dad called a board meeting. Morrison Construction wasn't technically incorporated, but we had an operating agreement. Dad owned 51%, my brothers and uncle split the rest. I had 0 ownership, just a salary and profit sharing. Dad said, we need to discuss leadership changes. Jenny's and great work, but the company needs a new direction, fresh perspective. I said, what does that mean? Uncle Tom said, we think it's time for new financial leadership, someone who understands construction finance better, who's flexible. Flexible. Code for will approve our fraud. I said, you're firing me? Mark said, we're transitioning you out. You'll get 6 months severance, very generous. I said, I've grown this company from 3 million to 22 million. I've built every system we have. You're firing me? David said, you've been fighting us on every decision for 3 years. We need someone who's a team player. I said, a team player who will approve fraud, fake vendors, tax evasion, embezzlement? The room went cold. Dad said, those are serious accusations, unfounded accusations. I said, I have documentation, 3 years of records, 2 million in tax fraud and embezzlement. I've been trying to stop it. You've been blocking me. Uncle Tom said, if you make accusations like that outside this room, we'll sue you for defamation, destruction of the business reputation. You'll lose everything. I said, are you threatening me? Dad said, we're protecting the business. Here's your severance agreement, 6 months pay, $50,000, and an NDA. You sign, you get paid, you walk away quietly. I looked at the NDA. Couldn't discuss company finances, couldn't disparage the business, couldn't report wrongdoing to authorities. They wanted me to pay me to stay silent about fraud. I said, what if I don't sign? Mark said. Then you get nothing. No severance, no reference, and we make it very hard for you to work in this industry again. I said, I'll think about it. Dad said, you have 48 hours. Sign or walk away with nothing. I took the severance agreement, went home, and I made a decision. That night, I organized my evidence. 3 years of documentation, fake vendor invoices, cash withdrawal records, kickback payment schedules, personal expenses fraudulently claimed as business, fake employee payroll records, everything. Organized, dated, cross-referenced. Then I called my own lawyer, Sandra Kim, specializes in employment law and whistleblower protection. Sandra, my family fired me for refusing to participate in fraud. I have 3 years of evidence, $2 million in tax fraud and embezzlement. What should I do? She said, report it. IRS whistleblower program, FBI if there's mail or wire fraud. You're protected under federal